pact once broken, forged anew. Warlocks Waffles.
Did you want waffles?
Good morning,
Mobby?
everybody. I'm excited. Today, we get to continue one of my favorite traditions that we kind of accidentally started on this show, which is one of us prepping a bit for the show and not telling the other one anything about it. Juni, I don't remember which of us did this first. I don't remember which of us started this process of being like, "Oh yeah, I have something. Don't worry about it. Just come ready to play along."
I feel like it
Um,
was me. I feel
it
like I've done this because I'm bad at explaining things. So it's probably me.
it whichever of us started it, it has happened a lot. It trades off fairly consistently of like, uh sometimes we do have a conversation about like, okay, this is what we're
Mhm.
going to talk about, like here's the topic I want to bring up, like we'll go over all this stuff. But a lot of the time it's a like, okay, I have a topic, maybe I'll give you a little hint of what it is, but more likely you just need to come and play. You just need to come over and play in the space. Just
Mhm.
come along with me on a magical journey. And I find that incredibly fun.
For some people, I know that this would be horrifying.
I
Uh,
want to make sure everybody understands that Juni, I feel like, is the larger perpetrator of this.
one,
Um,
that is factually correct. That is true. If we were to
and
count, it
and
would be
two,
me doing it way more.
when I messaged Juni last night and told him, "Hey, I have a thing for tomorrow. I'm not telling you anything. Like, just come ready to go." Juni immediately responded with fear. Juni immediately responded with feeling like I was going to
I don't
punish
think it
him
was
for
fear.
doing this to me on Monday.
I apologized.
You immediately
I
started
I
apologizing.
I did. It wasn't even 1 minute later. It was probably like because it was
It
the
might be the
exact same
fastest
minute.
I have ever
It
received a
was the
response from
fastest,
Juni.
and it wasn't even a short
Um,
reply. It was a couple lines, but within 1 minute before the clock changed to the next minute, uh,
I
I replied,
Our conversation last night was
and then we replied to each other with Bluey memes back and
yes,
forth.
yes. Our messages last night were me messaging Junie saying, "Show tomorrow. You ready?" He said, "Yes." "Am I making a PowerPoint? What are we tackling?" I said, "I've got something. It's your turn to be on the spot. You best be ready for some nonsense." And Junie's immediate response: "Listen, I know it's late, but I'm sorry about that whole Hunter woke me up at 2:30 a.m. to work on a PowerPoint thing. I'm sorry. Go easy on me." To which I responded with a Bluey gif of "You will live to regret that," and he responded with a Bluey meme of "Oh biscuits." Um,
So
so
now
yeah,
that everybody's caught up, what is happening?
that's a great question, Junie, and we'll get to it. Don't worry. How was your week? Anything fun? Did you do any? Did you do anything fun this week?
I feel like I came in with like conversation banter.
Uh-huh.
Like I was just like, because I remembered what day of the week it was, and then I completely forgot because for some reason I feel like you put a spotlight on me, and almost like you're gonna have people come in and say, Juni Ruiz, this is your TTRPG life, and then I'm gonna be embarrassed in some new way, and I'm like, no, Hunter would it or couldn't or won't. I don't know if it's any of those
Junie's
things,
Junie's running through
but
every person in his head
every
who
possible
might have dirt
situation.
on him. Like this is
Yeah.
gonna be some like gotcha journalism.
Yeah, it's gonna be something not that it's not gonna be creative, but I know it's gonna be less painful. And I
let's
think
play the game I have prepped for today. Let's cancel Junie.
it's every piece of media I've ever posted
Yeah.
that was questionable, and
It's
there
just
unfortunately is more than one.
Junie, I brought in a kid who knew you from Xbox 360 live chat, and they said you said something racist. Let's go to the clip.
Your sweet potatoes are stupid. What? What does that even mean?
I've never been a big fan of pomegranates.
We know what that really means on the internet.
Oh man.
Welcome today. What did I do this week?
What did you do to this week? Tell us about it.
Okay. I feel like my only highlights aside from the show are Survivor and The Masked Singer. That is about it. I know that there was more.
You watched The Masked Singer?
We on and off. I think
my mouth
come
did
back.
not like saying those words together.
You watched
Masked Singer? You watched The Masked Singer?
Yes, and the first episode of the season is always like my greatest prediction one where I'm just like, I have a or everybody, Juni, everybody close in Juni Ruiz conspiracy theory time.
Welcome to Juni's conspiracy theater corner.
The second on The Masked Singer, you know who it is. That means they're going, because why keep them on the show if the mystery is gone?
Right.
So the second that the clues get too obvious, or you're clear like that's so and so, they're gone. Not even if their performance was the better performance, because it's not a singing competition. It's like it's part singing competition, part like just it's for fun. It's like the last performance of the first season was a fun twist that I don't want to say in case anybody actually watches this show. But
It was M. Night Shyamalan.
Yes. I get into it, but it's getting harder because I think more people just do it for their kids, and now like they're getting like bigger celebrities, and I'm like, oh, there's no way that's so and so, and then I'm like, oh yeah, it is now. It is this person. You were like, there'd be no way.
I don't know, Junie. Like, how
The last person was able to.
How can you say they're getting bigger celebrities? Kermit the Frog was already on the show.
This is true.
I don't watch the show. I just know that Kermit was on there because
Kermit was on
love
there.
the Muppets.
There was one of the last people. He was able to say something like that they've generated like $4 billion in the box office. And at first I was like, "There's no way," and then it revealed who it was, and I said, "Oh, that was factual." And now you're what? Yeah, you're probably like, "Who?"
It was Kermit the Frog again.
It was Kermit the Frog a second time. They jumped the shark.
That'd be so funny is if they just had a contestant who came back every year.
That would actually be really good. If they had somebody that was like a reoccurring joke. You're like, where are they?
I have a conspiracy theory about The Masked Singer, which is I don't think the celebrities are there for most of the episodes. I think
Really?
I think they're only there for the episode that they are like revealed on. Because why would they be? Why would they be there for all of the other episodes? Like you think to me, I feel like it has to be scripted, because otherwise you're telling me that somebody with the Kermit the Frog puppet was inside of a costume every week.
What's interesting is that this is turning into a Masked Singer fan cast, because I got thoughts
I've never
on this.
watched the show.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna explain it so you become a fan, and
Okay.
I'm casting fandom on you, right? So,
Welcome to Warlocks and Waffles, the Masked
Masked
Singer
Singer fan cast.
cast.
So, and for anybody that doesn't understand what the heck we're talking about, this was a Korean show, I believe, right? And Ryan Reynolds was on it one time as a gag,
Amazing.
to promote Deadpool, and he sang "Over the Rainbow." No. Yeah, I think he said no. Yeah, I think he said "Over the Rainbow," and people were like, "Who is it?" And they was like, "Oh, it's American actor Ryan Reynolds," and they were like, "What?" A celebrity wears a very elaborate costume, not always just a mask, and then people have to go based off of clue packages who
Mhm.
they think it is. And they're not doing it for the money. Sometimes they're doing it for funsies or something
Mhm.
like that. But it's like could be like somebody who is like a legend back in the day to like football players we don't know who they are. Um uh
It's my
and
8th grade science teacher.
yeah. Well, no, because sometimes it's like, oh, it's a winner, runner up from season 7 of The Bachelor, and I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, right? Like
So
TikTok viral
it's kind of
sensation so and so, and I'm like,
like the Dancing with the Stars, where it's like sometimes it's people where you're like, oh my goodness, he's on this, and then
yes,
other times it's like, I have no idea who that is.
yeah, and then
Like
there's some people that
this
just
is the star.
yeah, some people don't get it either, which is hilarious. Like Rob Gronkowski, a football
Mm-hmm.
player, he was on and he sang terribly, and some people they own it, but he was just dancing around, and then they were like, "Why'd you want to do this?" He's like, "I love to dance," and then I was like, "You're on the wrong show, bro. Like this is not what this is
This is
about."
super not the right show,
This is
my
not
friend.
that. But then they have like really good people and they go really, really far. And you're like, oh, that person sings really good, but this is more entertaining performance. And one time, yeah, you're right. Kermit the Frog was on there,
Mhm.
which opened the floodgates for, oh no, they don't have to be real people anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's
Just wait
been,
for like they take off the head and they like just
yeah.
in post production an animated character comes out.
Mhm.
It's like it was SpongeBob SquarePants.
But the reason I think that there are some unscripted, like unpredictable moments was there was somebody on there and they sounded drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then I don't even know. And then they go like, let's the banter after each performance. And the person just took off their costume. And it was Mickey Rourke. And it was Mickey Rourke couldn't handle it and he was just done. So whether or not it is scripted and they like have everything planned out or not, I don't know. But I know Mickey Rourke done goofed it up for everybody. So that's why I'm
Maybe.
like, every once in a while, there is like they vote and they have voting elements.
Or is that
Mhm.
good TV?
Oh God. Oh my God. I remember if you pay attention to the any singing show, everybody, this is not just for Masked Singer, this is for any singing show. If you pay attention to the little disclaimer at the bottom, they full blown say that portions are recorded out of order.
Mhm.
So the reactions you're watching aren't necessarily from that performance,
Mhm.
and they're not like actually reacting to whatever. They just have good crowd shots. And
Mhm.
for the Masked Singer, they have record that like all in like a shot before it all premieres. So these you've watched all these performances in a row, and you've seen like somebody ascend the ranks.
Mhm.
That person's only watched that performance one time.
Mhm.
So like they're not basing it off of like, oh, they're every week they're killing it. Like no, that person saw the Peacock perform one time and that's it. Hunter, we're a TTRPG morning
We
show.
are a
This is
TTRPG morning
we
show.
at 15 minutes we usually remind everybody because we've sometimes
We've
we
rambled
go
for
to
20
15
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. Before we hit 20 minutes. Is this what we were this was the surprise, wasn't it? This
I've
was it.
lured you into talking about the Masked Singer. No.
This is a lot nicer.
Stop it.
And
Stop feeling like you know what's happening.
just this is all right. We're back to Hunter crushing my feelings of joy. I'm sorry. What is it?
Welcome to
What is
Warlocks
it?
and Waffles, the Juni's joy crushing fan cast.
I was gonna say something from pre-show, and I'm not going to, but it was involving two artists, and I'm not gonna bring it up. But I was gonna say something, and it was gonna be
it's recorded. It'll end up on TikTok or Patreon or something. Welcome to the show, everybody. I think it's important that we address some serious topics. So,
okay.
today, the People's Court brings you Judge Juni. We are going to bring you a bunch of topics, a bunch of cases that need to be tried, Juni, and you will need to deliberate and deliver your ruling. These are all super serious offenses.
I wish I had my gavel or something.
I almost downloaded a gavel sound effect to be able to play.
I have technology. I could totally have a gavel sound effect. But okay.
Are you ready for your first case?
Yes.
Okay. As I said, these are all super serious.
Mm-hmm.
Your first case today. Fluffy Softpaws, the Tabaxi. He is a multi-classed rogue monk. The player argues, as the Tabaxi, he has claws that increase his unarmed strike damage to a d6. He also argues that as a monk, his unarmed strikes also are increased. These should stack, says the player, or just increase even further. The GM says no, you can't have two different increases from different sources. They increase the same attribute, so it's like stacking two copies of Bless or having like unarmed defense from two different places or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't get both, says the GM. The player argues that the whole reason he made this character was to be able to do absurd punches and then take sneak attack damage on top of them. The GM also argues that the player shouldn't get sneak attack damage on punches because it's not a finesse weapon. The player argues that he's a monk and uses dexterity for his unarmed strikes, so he should be able to classify that as a finesse weapon. This has resulted in the player leaving the table and the group falling apart because there weren't enough players. Judge Juni, who was right?
Okay. I came back halfway through because I started designing a Canva background so I could put a judge's seat behind me and a gavel in front of me. So I got
Piece of shit.
80, I got 75 to 80% of that, right? So okay. So they're tabaxi, so they have the claw. And what was the other thing they were arguing about the stack?
Monks unarmed strikes.
Okay. So the monk, it brings them both up to D4s. Is that what it is?
So a tabaxi has an unarmed strike of a d6, and a monk does as well, but a monk's levels up to like a d8 and a d10 and stuff further in. Let's see here. No, I'm sorry. The tabaxi's is a d4 plus strength modifier. Instead of just strength modifier of damage. The monk has a d6 at early levels, and it goes up farther. So this is a case of the player saying, like, because I'm a monk, I have like this d6, like, but I'm a tabaxi, so I have like, also I do more. I should be able to stack those essentially.
Yeah. Okay, I got that part. So I've seen this in other game systems, and I think what I would argue for the unarmed strike portion of it, unless you're building a strong, where it's like, like a strong rogue, or like, something like where it's like, okay, it's using a lot of strength. The fact
I will say I am a big fan of the muscle monk build. It's just
muscle monks,
a fun build.
So unless it's like, all right, you got negative or 0 strength, okay. Because I would say, like, well, why not do something fun and extra? Like, okay, your unarmed strikes, they get your dex and your strength. So if you had something where you did like an even build, you're gonna still get another +2 or something like that. I would basically go, we have these elements and we can shuffle them together in some way so we get the added strength or something. Or a lot of times what I see other systems do is like almost like you're promoting a die.
Yeah.
So if your monk punches do a d6, but you got nails and
Mhm.
like literal, like I was picturing like carpentry nails, you're holding them in your fingers, but you got literal claws,
Right.
that is going to do more.
Yeah.
So I think a d8, like promoting the die, a
Just
die
going up
up,
one. So like when the monk
is
as the monk hits their further levels and it
yeah,
goes up more, it would also
yeah,
just bump up one.
yeah, bump up an extra one, and then you want to be generous, do like the extra strength. It's like, oh, it's a +1 because when you level up, proficiency goes up, but your stats don't always go up. And if they're investing in monk and rogue stuff, they're probably not investing in strength. So that
Right.
extra +1, maybe 2, is negligible, I think.
Mhm.
So I think there's a compromise there. Now, for the sneak attack, short swords and daggers are monk weapons.
They are.
And if the whole thing is you fight with my fists, I fight with my fists and stuff like that, I think that the compromise would be, why not at this point just say for like a sneak attack, you're like, like a cat's nails are out,
Mhm.
but then they can like flex and really get them out.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like how
Yeah.
in like cartoons, stuff, it's always like, they have nails, but then they kind of like, and the claws are really out.
Mhm.
I would just,
I do also have to clarify
uh-huh.
that because I did look it up. There is a for monk, it is a D4 for the first stretch of unarmed strikes. It's not until
Okay.
you hit a certain level that it goes up to the D6. But
Then
still,
then then yeah, I would either be generous with the going up or just give them like, oh, you get the punch stuff, but you get your strength bonus the same way. Because it's like if you were a tabaxi, you are not trained in boxing like a monk is, but your
hmm
fist does the same amount of damage because you got claws.
hmm
So if you're a monk and you could punch that same base threshold, what puts you over the top is your strength.
sure,
So if they are the same base, the the compromise is you get to add your strength modifier 2 to those punches. Well, that's because they're literally the same. At higher levels, yeah, that gets a little more, like whatnot. But
hmm
then because you don't level up your claws unless you're doing your strength. So the benefit of the tabaxi is you get to climb, you get to do all the stuff with those nails.
hmm
You got nails. That doesn't mean you have like short swords on your hands. However, if you are a trained monk ninja, like you are a rogue and you are a monk,
hmm
those nails are probably wicked enough to count as like a dagger or a short sword. There is literally no reason at that point. Like if I do a punch or a swipe, I do a scratch. Like you say, oh, my punches do like slashing instead of like bludgeoning. You know what I mean? Like because of your or piercing. You know what I mean?
hmm
But for the sake of sneak attack, just flavor a dagger or a short sword as your you're like, oh, I have my claws like this, and I'm punching my own claw in there
mm
because you're already acknowledging that I have a sharp piercing, slashing something or other on your hand. You already have that item like in the base equipment
sure,
thing of it.
yeah,
So I think this is one of those things where both people can get what they want, and the rules are there to kind of get us there.
hmm
And then both people have to be flexible. So I think for the sneak attack, that's just a matter of reflavoring. I think that they can totally have it. But I feel like there was a third thing. Was there a third thing?
The third thing is essentially that they are um they want to be able to like they built this
Yeah.
character to be able to do this thing.
Mhm.
And then the GM has decided that they can't do that thing, so the player has left. which has then resulted in the game falling apart because they didn't have enough players.
Okay. So the game fell apart. Okay. Um, and I guess I don't know if you want to message me this part because I don't know if the source of this is allowed to be known or not because
Mhm,
uh there's a difference between if this was like a group of friends,
mhm,
family, or if this was like a paid game.
mhm.
Because then it would be the sense of like, oh, everybody else has got to get back together and just they have a like an NPC, like a shared party NPC,
Mhm,
where they all just keep him there and then they play him however they want. And then it's almost like they all get a shared like whose turn is to pilot, like, oh, we named him Mittens, we changed his name
mhm.
to Mittens now. And they could have fun and at the expense of the friend that left. But if it's like another situation where it's like, oh no, it's like a paid game, everybody was choosing to be there type of thing. Um it's So they caused enough strife that everybody left, or if it was just, "Oh, he deprived the table of enough players, so it dissolved." Like, is
So
that
what it is that they didn't have enough players.
Mhm,
So that's why it falls apart.
mhm,
But the player left because like he couldn't play the character that he wanted
mhm,
to play,
yeah,
and felt handicapped substantially to the point where like I'm losing out on uh either like one of my core racial traits, or
yeah,
I'm losing out on one of the benefits of being a monk for the first like 4 levels. Um, so like that was his frustration.
mhm,
And then the GM wasn't willing to like concede anything on that, and so when the
mhm,
player left, then the game falls apart.
okay. Um, okay, so this is, there's a little bit on both sides.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that, um, depending on how the rest of the players were, like, I think there could have been a little bit more flexibility on the
Hmm.
GM's part. Um, like, I once again, the source is the whole thing because if it's like is it a was it a
So this is
paid
a
game?
this is a friend group.
Friend group. Oh, okay then. Never mind then. Because I was just like, well, then there's reviews knowing what type of GM it is. I'm like, no, friend group. Okay then.
Yeah, this is
So
a
this is
home
this is
game.
the deal. Okay, so uh, this is your friend. I think there can be a little bit more flexibility.
Hmm.
So there is, even if I were to say something along the lines of the monk could have had their things and just reflavored it.
Hmm.
Um, if you are GMing, that should be a suggestion you make, type of
Hmm.
thing, to find a compromise, to let them have what they want while still keeping things balanced.
Hmm.
Um, Being able to do like an extra D something of damage is one thing. Uh, I think the GM would probably be scared of like, oh, if I let them do it, then other people are going to be able to do an extra D12 or an extra D whatever on
Hmm.
top of everything. That's a slippery slope.
Sure.
Well, then make everything harder. Like, you know what I mean? It's one of those
Yeah.
things where if everybody's having fun, you're having more fun because then
Hmm.
you also get to do crazier monsters type of thing. As far as the mechanics are concerned, rogue and monk stack well.
Yeah.
I think being able to just add the flavor of a tabaxi element where there's claws
Hmm.
is not crazy. Now, I would
I
have
I do
taken
I do think the like thematically, all of those things seem like they work very well together.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
a monk tabaxi who is like using their claws as part of their unarmed strikes, and then like a rogue in that of like tabaxis are very dexterous, and like those claws are like weapons. Like
I
that's
there's like yeah, there's a lot of, like I said, they are weapons at
hmm.
that point, and I would think that just normal punches get a little extra oomph,
Hmm.
and then when you're using sneak attack, that's when you're putting out all the finesse, and you're going
Yeah.
like, oh, I can use my claws because instead of like just a cat like doing this, I think if you're a monk,
Hmm.
like a monk rogue, you're doing those like ninja anime strikes where your hands are like this, like they are a weapon at this
Yeah.
point. We've all seen
You're
a thing
looking
of,
to get into the like soft spots and stuff
yeah,
like that.
you're using two claws because they're more dangerous and fully extending, and now you've sharpened them, you know.
Mhm.
So I think that there are very specific ways. So now, in terms of the result here,
Mhm.
you want to know who wins this, who's at fault here. Just want to make sure that
I need
Mhm.
you to deliver a judgment. You are
a
Judge
judgment
Juni.
here.
You
Okay,
must you
I just
must
want to
deliver your judgment.
I want to be fair
If you
here.
determine that both parties are at fault, if you determine that one party is
Okay.
at fault,
I didn't know if one
um,
was asking for, like, if I'm ruling in favor of, like, the plaintiff or something like
yes,
that, but if it's just
you are ruling for or against
yeah, yeah,
both or either.
yes, okay. So in this case, I would say that while there is fault on both sides here as far as alternate courses of action could have
Mhm.
been taken, I believe that the GM bears more fault in this one and is guilty. If we're talking about who has the bigger load here, there were ways to go around it. Now, plenty of other like circumstantial things. Is it a
Sure.
new GM?
Yeah.
Is it something where it's a really experienced player? Is it a new player that wants to
Mhm.
do something and they want to do something fun and then it's like, oh no, I don't want you to have fun.
Mhm.
There's lots of other ways there. And if it's like a friends group, they I think going like, hey, look, Jeff wants to do this. Does anybody care? Like they might not have cared.
Yeah.
Or they might want to do stuff, but if they're all friends, then it doesn't matter because then you could be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, all my friends got Riverdale," and then you can just complain about it. It's like, "Oh God, all my friends can do 30 damage every hit, like,
Yeah.
every time," you know.
Oh,
So,
I have players in my party where I'm like, I don't know how I've let you get away
mhm,
with building this. Like you
mhm,
have built an absolutely broken character. Like
mhm, yeah.
you shouldn't be able to do what
Whoa,
you're doing. But also that's fun. Like that's a fun character. Um
one
okay.
second.
You're good. In the eyes of the people's court and Judge Juni, the GM is at fault and is held responsible for their actions. I feel very strongly that a GM's role is to yes and also no but. But like the no but should always be like presenting another option or presenting a an
Yeah.
alternative, a
Mhm,
compromise, like something of that nature.
yeah,
So in a situation like this where it's like, hey, what you're wanting to do, rules as written, doesn't work, and I don't necessarily want to like break it. The
it's not even that
that
it
is the
doesn't
perfect
work,
right.
yeah.
That's the
It's like one of
perfect
the things that's like
opportunity to present an alternative option.
yeah.
Like
'Cause
a
I would give them doper things if that
right.
was the combination where it's like, "Okay, look, you get the D6, like, it bumps it up a lot, like, it bumps it up 1, so you can get, like, extra little points, and, you can maybe, like, sink your claws into them." You know? Oh, okay. Give me 2 seconds. I
Yeah,
do have to step away for just a sec.
you're good.
But yeah, in this ruling, they have to, Uh, I think they have to do like an oops all tabaxi one shot with their friends group. Get the gang back together for at least one shot. Let
Yeah,
the guy play
as
that
an
build.
apology. Yeah,
Yeah, but then like make it just like they're all assassin monks,
yeah.
and they all have to do it. So that's my ruling. GM's at
I
fault. He has to run the one shot with all the characters being as bad as he didn't want them to be.
perfect. That's a
Be right back.
punishment
Yep.
fits the crime, I feel.
Yep.
Um the the Rosie in the chat, you raise a fantastic point of like hate min maxers, love creative rules usage. I feel like there is a very clear distinction between somebody who is trying to use the rules to break the game and somebody who found a creative use of something to do something they're excited about. I think it a lot of the time will come down to like the intent behind what they're doing. If I am a GM who's just or I'm a player just trying to break the game, or I'm trying to do the most possible stuff in a turn, or the most possible damage or anything like that, that usually falls into that min-maxer stuff. But if you are a player who's just like, I found this combination of things that feels cool and feels like it thematically goes well together, like it all sort of interweaves in a way that is very appealing to me as a player, that's not necessarily min-maxing. It can be, there can be crossover, but like in the most part, I think that a lot of GMs who claim like, oh, they were min-maxing, the player wasn't necessarily min-maxing. I think a lot of players were just um looking for a character that was exciting to them, and they built something out that did that. I have a player in one of my games right now who his character was a bugbear um paladin with the polearm master feat. And so with polearm master, you are like using a polearm, so he's using a glaive. Bugbears have an extra 10 feet or an extra 5 feet of like reach on any of their melee weapons, and then polearm also has an additional like 5 feet of reach on it, so he could melee attack anything that was within 15 feet of him, which was wild. He's also had taken he took Polearm Master and he took Sentinel. So Sentinel, if anything tries to like move away from your threatened area, then you get an opportunity attack, and if you hit them, they lose all their speed. You also, if somebody attacks somebody like next to you, all of this stuff. Polearm Master, you also trigger opportunity attacks if somebody enters your threatened area. And so he was like had this 15-foot bubble around him that if anybody entered it or tried to leave it, they provoked opportunity attacks, and it was wild. It was such a fun, like it was devastating on the battlefield, but it was such a fun uh like combination of things that I really really enjoyed. They like also as a paladin, he was like smiting people from 15 feet away from them, which is just absolutely crazy. I love a build that involves like I've pulled all of these different things together to make sure that they're all like connected and they're doing cool things. But uh yeah, the no touchy tank, yes. There's a lot of great ways to do it, but if you're min-maxing,
Mm-hmm.
if your intent is to break things, or your intent is to like, I'm sacrificing all of this in exchange for this,
Yes.
that's where it becomes min-maxing to me. Like if you are just like, I found this creative combination of things that improves my character as far as I can tell,
Mm-hmm.
that's not min-maxing, that's just maxing. Like that's just, you found a good combination of things. A min-maxer, I feel like specifically, is I've traded off all of these cool things in exchange for being able to do just this one thing very very well. Um a lot of min-maxers I also feel like are like really low stats in some of their things in exchange for really high stats in other things.
Mm-hmm. Glass
And
cannons and such.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I can't do anything but hit stuff, but you will never be able to take me down, sort of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um I know I hate having no low stats on a character. So
Oh.
like I always like having at least one stat that is like actively bad, because it gives me something to like play off of.
Mm-hmm.
The I have definitely messaged GMs and been like, "Hey, I rolled really well. I would like a lower stat. Would you let me sell points in my stats to like boost another stat?" And I've done it at like a 3 to 1 of like, I will take 3 points away from this stat in exchange for 1 point in this other stat. And that gives me a boost in a stat that I want to be better and gives me a lower stat that I get to play off of. And like I like that. But not every GM wants to do that, and that's totally cool too. I've also re-rolled stats entirely if I rolled too well because I was like, I don't want to be a god. Like I just want to have something that I can like play off of not being great. Flawed characters are more fun to play. Anyway,
All
Juni,
right.
I think your ruling was fair. I think it was good. You have received 1 point. Well done.
There's
The
a
second
scoring
case,
system?
there is a
Wait,
scoring
what?
system.
Oh.
The second case that has been brought before the court. There's very little information in the initial premise of this. You can ask questions. We can bring evidence before the court if you choose. A Triton character
Mhm.
drowned and died.
In what?
D&D 5e. They were playing a game.
Mhm.
A Triton character drowned
Mhm.
in water.
In water.
Yes.
That was okay. They drowned in water. Okay.
And died.
Okay. Was there anything preventing them from breathing?
Not according to this listing. No. It was regular water.
Mhm.
The GM ruled that their like ability to breathe water didn't apply in this situation.
Was there what was it that changed that?
It's a great question, Juni. As far as I can tell, nothing. So here's the situation. This is
Mhm.
a encounter that the players had where there was a
Mhm.
massive water elemental who could engulf their like victims, right? So the party
Okay.
members were being engulfed by
Okay.
this water elemental. It is
Okay.
made of water. Um
I
the
see.
uh the players were being engulfed by it, and they once they were engulfed had to make like saving throws to like hold their breath in the water
Mhm.
elemental. The player playing the Triton says, I'm a Triton, I can breathe water, like I shouldn't have to
Yeah.
make saves. And the GM ruled, no, that doesn't apply here, and the Triton died.
Okay. So, um the I am about like um messing with like, oh, this changes something in a way where it's like, oh no, I thought I was immune to this. And
Mhm.
not that the player was trying to get one over on them,
Yeah.
but once again, if you're going to, and I know I've done this too where it's like you do that first step of like I'm not going to say everything because there's something I got to hold a card, so it's like it
Mhm.
doesn't apply right now.
Yeah.
But then if they were to push it like, what do you mean? Why?
You have to have a
Uh
reason.
you have to have a
Yeah.
reason. And then it's like, oh, well, look, blank. So in the case of a water elemental, you said right, a water elemental?
Mhm.
Okay. So I I'm pretty sure it is just that it's made of water.
It is made of water. I will also add into evidence
Mhm.
the cleric of their party,
Mhm.
or I'm sorry, the druid of their party was
Mhm.
using destroy water
Mhm.
on the elemental,
Mhm.
and the elemental was taking damage from that, implying
Okay.
it is water.
Correct. Now, this is how I could justify this, right?
Mhm.
But I just want to make sure to see how it says the whole uh Okay. So, if you were engulfed in an air elemental,
Hmm.
you could suffocate.
Sure.
We breathe air, and it could basically make it so we can't inhale. Maybe it's
Hmm.
putting too much air and we can't breathe out, for crying out loud.
Sure.
Something along those lines. So, a water elemental preventing you from breathing is not the most outrageous, because then it could be something more of like, yeah, you breathe the water and the water is suffocating you,
Hmm.
in the sense of like, oh, he's in you now and he is crushing your lungs.
Hmm.
So the fact that he suffocated is not the part where it's like the part where I'm like, come on. Once again, and this could be, it's a newer GM or it could be something else. But there's that initial, it doesn't work now, and you're like,
Hmm.
"What?" And then if it's like they can't get to that next point, because then you could use that as a trick too, everybody. If you have, it was shenanigans, but you give them that whatever, and they make the justification for it,
Hmm.
you pull up your hands and you're like, "Maybe," and they're like, "Oh," and then they'll run on tangents and it'll be fun conspiracy theories and it'll make fun for table talk later. Um, but then if there's that next push of, "Hey, no, seriously, what? Like this is, huh?" It's just like, you're breathing him in, it's like he it's him. He can just, like, strangle you now. So now it's not he's, suffocating you in the sense of
Hmm.
you can't breathe. He's just clenching. It's just he's doing Kegels. He's just like, and just keeping you asphyxiated at this point.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it's once again gonna get fishy, where people are gonna start Googling things like, well, this is the way fish gills work, and this is how they absorb the land.
Hmm.
It's just like, okay, well, we're talking about magic, like your Triton. Is that how it works? Do you breathe through gills and it works the same way? Blah blah blah. That's where it's getting
Hmm.
messy. If it's just you breathe water, he is water. You breathing him, he choking you out. It says I can choke you out. I'm gonna do it in a way that like makes sense.
Hmm.
Um, and also magical water. Like I would always argue, magic water is different. Like that's
Sure.
if you need to take it another step. Um, So not the GM's not at fault necessarily for doing it.
Hmm.
I think it's just one of those, they're not people aren't explaining things, and I'm guilty of over explaining.
Sure.
But some people just don't want to explain to save their life. Um
I do
and
have
I think,
two additional
mhm.
pieces of evidence
Oh boy.
that should be brought into file. It doesn't necessarily change your verdict, but they should be brought up.
Okay.
One, the Triton is the only character to die in this fight.
Mhm.
Uh, Two, uh, the water elemental immediately went after them, engulfed
Mhm.
them, and then like continued on the fight. So they didn't do anything in this fight. The initiative started, water elemental engulfed the Triton. Triton starts suffocating in the water and dies because nobody can get to them. So the Triton didn't get to do anything in, in this fight.
So
Uh
wait, they couldn't roll
last
for initiative to fight themselves out?
they were in initiative. The Triton is a wizard. So it is a strength save to try and get out of the water. It is a constitution save to try and not like suffocate in it. Uh and so the wizard immediately didn't have enough strength to get out, couldn't make the save. It was a let me see, do I have the DC anywhere? Um it was a DC 18 strength save to get out of this water
Ooh.
elemental. Um, and so they couldn't get out, and they didn't roll high enough on their con save, so they started drowning. And it was the last piece of evidence that I want to submit. The GM specified that they were drowning. They weren't
Mm.
suffocating. They were drowning.
Yeah. Because let's just whelm.
Also,
Are
if
they
you're
doing
if
like a
you're
greater? Because it's
so if you're
15.
if
Are
you're
they doing
looking
like a
if you're
homebrew
looking
thing?
at, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a homebrew
Yeah.
monster.
Okay. Um. Oh, so what? All right. So what were the mechanics for like their whelm? Because like if we're looking at a regular water elemental,
Mhm.
it literally says restrained and unable to breathe unless it can breathe water.
Yeah.
Um.
That would be the last piece of evidence I wanted to submit was a regular
Uh.
water elemental specifically says if you can breathe water, you're fine.
So then what becomes is then they're not using a water elemental, they're just calling it that, and
Mhm.
then this could be like the person knows D&D and it's just like, oh, you can do this, and it's like, well, somebody took a monster or whatever and flavored it as a water elemental. um and it's just a matter of explaining that,
Mhm.
but because they didn't do that, it looks real messed up and not cool.
Mhm.
So man,
It's a tricky one, right? Like
yeah, if this is just
there's a lot of moving pieces to this. Because
yeah,
when I started reading through this, I was on the same page you were of like,
yeah,
yeah, that sucks. Like that sucks that happened. The like the that's rough, but like things happen. Um the more I read into it and the more I looked at it, it's like, oh no, this is real rough. Like this is hard. So yeah, there's a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of like weird little addendums to this.
yeah. I think this just goes to uh it. Yeah, they didn't do the little explanation
Mhm.
that they could have. Um, the Triton could be very angry. The Triton didn't do anything wrong. I don't know. And you said the party was trying to literally do anything. So
Mhm.
yeah, this seems like it seems like the GM is at fault here. So what I'm gonna say is I don't know if this campaign is still going or not. But if was the Triton permadead? Do we know this? Do they?
They were not high enough level to have like access to raising spells.
Mm.
So the player did have to make a new character.
All right. I'm gonna say then it's just unfortunate. You can't undo it. Um, I think that the if the campaign is still ongoing,
Mhm.
then the GM should for 1d20 amount of sessions uh conduct their sessions in like a dunk tank of some sort that has something that looks like water but isn't.
Yeah,
And I would say that whenever the players get a natural 20, that
the GM gets dunked.
he's dunked into the dunk
Oh
tank
my
of
goodness.
whatever it is. Um so yeah, I don't know if this
Juni,
is gonna work.
Juni, I need you right now to write
Did you hear
down.
anything just now or no?
I didn't
Did
hear
you hear
anything.
anything?
Why?
Oh, okay, good. All right. No,
Uh,
I did a thing.
I need you to write down GMing in a dunk tank, because we absolutely have to revisit this as a concept.
Oh God.
Like this is that's so much fun as like a public game. I love that.
We are doing a game in Seattle.
I no, my
No,
immediate thought was
we're doing
we should message them.
yeah,
Um, that's so
we should
good.
do this. I'm trying to change my audio source because I think I
Uh,
can.
okay, so is your have you finalized your ruling? Is that the GM is in the wrong and they must GM from a dunk tank?
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? What? I was given a blanket.
Is your final verdict on this? The GM is wrong and that they should GM from a dunk tank for 20 sessions.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah. I was being fair as far as 1d20. But
excellent,
yeah, they need to do that because
excellent.
yeah, that's not cool.
Um, then I will, since that has been like verdict has been given.
Yep.
Rosie had asked in the chat, it feels shady on the GM side. Was there a reason the water elemental went after that character? Which is a great question, Rosie, and I am happy to provide an update
Did you
on
hear
that.
anything this time? If I said anything, did you hear anything now? No.
I hear like a light tapping, and your mic got weird.
Oh, my mic got weird. Oh.
It sounds like a little distant now.
Oh.
The last update on this one is that the player feels that their character was targeted because they had taken the noble background and had written into their backstory that they were like a prince of the sea, like they come from this like underwater kingdom type thing, and had been asking the GM if they could have an adventure that took them there. And they feel that the GM didn't want to deal with that and just took out the character.
Oh, well, damn. Okay.
I will say, I have no evidence of that other than the player has voiced that as their, like, I think it was this.
Okay. All right. And I sound low still, right?
You just sound like it sounds like the settings on your mic changed.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I will change now I'm normal again.
Yeah, now you're normal.
Okay. All right. I changed it to like be the stream so that way I can have a gavel in there occasionally, but we'll figure that out for next time. Okay. Yeah. That is they got a dunk tank that because that's just So,
okay.
What else we got going on here?
I have one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
This one's a little weird. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Player playing a warlock character. As part of their agreement, their pact. Rosie asked how many points you get for that one. You get 1 point for a good deliberation. I'm going to give you a bonus point for the dunk tank. I think that's a great idea, and you deserve a bonus point for it.
Okay. Do I still sound weird? Do I sound okay now?
You sound the way you sounded previously.
Dang it, Razzafrazzin. Okay, all right, fine. It's just it doesn't make sense.
It sounds like there's like settings or something on when you're trying to use the like stream mode. It sounds like there's probably like bass and stuff affecting it.
Oh, interesting.
Okay. Last one. There's a player. They're playing a warlock. This warlock, as part of their background and in writing out like what their pact had been, they have made the pact that like their soul belongs to this entity that gives them their magic. As part of this, they've actually taken it a step further, and they've said that kind of like, you know how like a lich has their phylactery that they like put their like soul into so that they can come back. They've taken this a step further, and they've said that they are a warlock. Their patron owns their soul, but it's not a case of like when they die, their soul goes to their patron. It is a case of their patron already has their soul. And like it is in the possession of their patron, and then their body doesn't technically have a soul in it. So they're playing this like reborn like revenant type character where like there's not a soul in their body, but their soul can like kind of remanifest kind of an echo to the body to reawaken it if like they need to be brought back from the dead or something like that. That's all just cool world building lore stuff for their character. Where it becomes a case that needs to be brought to the People's Court and Judge Juni is this party encountered a deck of many things. The player drew the card from the deck that has your soul trapped in another place and like taken by this other entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
The player argues, I have no soul that the card could take. The GM argues that it would take the like echo of the soul that is kind of like allowing the body to be alive.
Mm-hmm.
The player argues that if that's the case, then like that's the same as their body just dying, and the patron would just create a new echo to like reawaken them. The GM says, no, because you're trapped. The player says, but that's not my real soul. So like how can they trap it? How can they trap me if my soul is not there?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts so far?
There's a few things. Magic is always like shenanigans. So anytime it's like, well, blank, well, it's like, yeah, but magic. So with magic, intent is the biggest thing.
Sure.
So I would say that if this could be, I think the most fun way personally is that I think the card would be drawn if like you describe if the player knows or not whether or not this is happening, like, you know, because sometimes it's like you gain a fort somewhere, like does it say that, or it's just, you know, I have a fort somewhere.
Yeah.
Or is it just they gotta wait for them to stumble upon it? If it's something where it's like their soul state and they know, right? I would this would be a fun thing to happen. Or just like if you don't want to say it, this would be even funnier, but just like this, the card disappears and they just their eyes go wide. It's like, oh no, he's pissed because your soul, the collateral, or your warlock patron, I would or the, you know, I would just go that they took that, like that went like got stolen from them
physically. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's just popped somewhere else, and then you either have no powers because that's the collateral, and without that you have nothing. So that's almost like that's the motivation to get it back. So it's like almost like a temporary, they have to use another class because they just don't have a thing. Or hey, what's up? Oh, hold on. I have a my bailiff here that just really wants to weigh in on this. But yeah. Or like if the GM is totally Oh, what's over there? If the GM is just heck bent on like, I'm gonna take somebody out of it, and like the whole next mission is going to be them trying to fix the situation, then I would do something where it's like almost like, well, the card pulled an Indiana Jones situation and took your soul and put the card power, whatever it is, in there. It filled you up with sand, magic soul sand, and so your guy doesn't even know you're gone unless he's checking in on you and actively is whatever. You are just a husk now, because that's the intent of the card. The whole intent of the card is to leave you just like whoop, and then the soul is somewhere. So your echo, even if it's like permanently tethered, like saying like, oh, as soon as that chain is broken, another one gets sent. Like it was never broken. This is one of those things where the player's like, I made something so cool it can't be broken, and it's like, well, bro, like it's cool but magic. So also like who, like I feel like depending on how it's set up, deck of many things can either be ultra powerful, god level. They were made by like deities or like ancient civilizations that like were akin to gods, or some people would just throw them around like a wizard got happy and made accidental nukes. You know what I mean? So it's kind of depending on how like they're set up. If it's something where it's like this was a very crazy powerful, ultra dangerous, very you know what you're doing kind of item, there's going to be repercussions.
Sure.
And if you don't follow the like what the logical repercussions would be, the intent of this crazy ultra powerful card would be to do something. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's going to, I think that depending on how powerful you make the cards, it would be either it just takes you and your
Mhm.
essence, like, the soul, and it's like, oh, maybe this wizard, like, had a funny definition of soul, and it's just your consciousness, like whatever you want to say it is.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I would do that, and then if you really want to make it real crazy, you power it up to the point where it stole from a deity or whatever the
Yeah.
patron is.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that it being taken in some way, shape, or form is not outrageous.
Mhm.
And this is one of those, the GM will have an item, says this is how it works, and then there's a counter argument of like, but wait, I can't do what? And that's fair to go like, hey, I
Mhm.
can't blank. It's like, no, that's not what happens. This is what it does. So I would say that the GM is in the like the soul was taken, or was it just an argument of whether or not it should happen? Like where'd that go?
The soul is how it played out in the game was
Hmm.
that the soul like the GM essentially argued that yeah, body like hits the ground, your soul is taken by this other entity, and the player objected to that. GM has essentially said that like the patron still has like the soul,
Hmm.
but the echo is what the echo of the soul is what is imprisoned by this other person, and they can't like
Hmm.
they can't create a new echo because that echo still exists is essentially what
Yeah,
was
it's one
what
thing.
was
It's like, yeah,
argued.
if you were created, dead, whatever, and then a new one was made, well, that's not what happened. So by that, their own logic, then
Mhm.
no, they couldn't make a new one. So it sounds like they did something that was fair, and then when it was counteracted, like questioned, they
Mhm.
explained it. So I think that that the GM is in the right. So uh, it the the warlock in question doesn't have any grounds. So
Sure.
ruling in favor of the GM on this one. Um,
Do you feel there's any additional evidence you need for this one?
I mean, is there more? Is there something like what else could there possibly be? Is there
That's
something
that's a
like,
great question. Do you have anything else you would be looking for?
oh, yeah, were any other cards pulled before or after that would be like, oh, this GM is like playing favorites, or because that's something where it's just like, no, they were really trying to stick it to this warlock. Is it
That's a good
malicious
question.
intent?
There were three other players that also drew cards.
Oh, I don't know if
Um,
my mic is being janky. Is it still like low and whatever?
no, that sounds right.
Oh, okay.
Um, there were three other players that pulled cards. One of them got the keep.
Uh-huh.
One of them got wishes.
Uh-huh.
And one of them had the like fight death or be forever destroyed.
Okay. And and everybody else seems like it just happened or whatever. So
Yeah.
uh yeah, so unless it was like the unfortunate situation of like he was first, he got his soul taken out, and everybody got like money and cool like cage fights.
Hmm.
It's just the luck of the draw.
He
I
was
did,
the last person to draw.
yeah, that's unfortunate. Um a funny way to end a session if that was a session ender. But it's just that is the way that would go. Um, there's even a chance, depending on how it's played. I know it's described in like the regular rules, like the cards go back. Like sometimes they're recycled into the deck. Like he could have gotten money and or a cage fight
Yeah,
too. So
there's
yeah,
different versions of the
so
deck. Some decks are like the cards go back in, so everybody has the chance to
yeah,
draw the same cards.
yeah,
Other decks are like there's only like the set
one
number
or
of
this
cards, and
six.
once it's
Yeah,
been
yeah, yeah,
pulled, it vanishes.
yeah. So So yeah, there isn't it doesn't look like any foul play is going on here. It doesn't look like there's any sort of wrongdoing. It's just unfortunate. So there's no punishment that needs to be on the GM in their case. I would say that if there's any sort of punishment that needs to happen, it's gonna be one second. Sorry. So I think that if there's any sort of punishment, it needs to be that the the warlock needs to have a long, what am I gonna say? A long, uncomfortable conversation with their patron on keeping track, taking care of their stuff. And just make it real, like it's a parent talking to their kid, like just real talking down to them,
Yeah.
preferably at the table. Now
Yeah.
that sucks because now everybody got cage fights or money or a keep. I got my soul taken away from me and chewed out. I think that that's rough. But if anytime you do a patron, every time you do a warlock, you have for like fun role play moments that other people aren't gonna get. So like it could pay off really cool later on.
Yeah.
Like maybe you get like some sort of cool like security feature on your soul. There could be like, all right, well, you have a placeholder soul or placeholder body, like because your patron is still like looking out for you type of thing. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe he could talk to you into the
Oh,
demi
that's
plane.
interesting. Of like
Like
he can't make a new echo, but like he does have the actual soul he could like
Yeah.
temporarily put back into the body to like
Yeah, because
get
if you like
back
it
up.
now, it's your soul's put in the thing, but it's like there. I've seen like different things. Like, are you conscious? Are you like, oh wait, or is it just like a
So
ball
it's
of nothing?
it's
Uh,
the body immediately like hits the ground. There is no like sentience to the body anymore. It's just a body on the
yeah, but your
ground.
soul, like, is it like your soul is there and like, man, what's going on? And if does your soul have like a, hey, look, I kind of been ripped out of my body. Do you think maybe you could help me in some way, shape, or form, and I would owe you a solid? Because then it's like, okay, look, I
There's
can't
something
put
very
you
funny to me about a warlock
phoning your patron.
messaging the patron and being like, "Hey, I'll owe you one," and the patron being like, "You owe me everything already. Like, what
But
are you talking about?"
well, that's the thing. Like, it's a cool thing of like, sometimes it's like, oh, your soul is enough, like if that.
Mhm.
But then, sometimes patrons have like their own agendas.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I
okay,
I am
you
such a
know,
fan of patrons that
yeah.
are like not just like one dimensional. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've played in so many games where it's like, oh, I'm a warlock, I'm packed to the fiend. Like when I die,
Yeah.
my soul goes to a devil, and it's like that's sure you can make that cool, but like at its base, it's
Yeah.
nothing. Like you haven't set up any sort of interaction or cool elements to it for during the game. It's just when you're
Mm-hmm.
dead, you can't come back essentially. There's so many cool ways to do warlock patrons. I tried to set one up in one of my games last week. There's a hag that had like offered the party. The hag is friends with one of the party members, and they were like, we're gonna go fight this evil thing, like can we have some like healing potions or something like that? And the hag was like, I can give you healing potions, but like I need something in return for that. Like I recently had one of my employees pass away, so I do have an opening if anybody would want to like sign on as one of my employees in my organization. If you do, I'm happy to give you some healing potions as like a sign-on bonus. And the whole party was like, nope, nope, we don't trust this at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of cool ways that you can do patrons, and I love the more creative the GM and the player get with like that relationship, the more fun it is to me. Like there's so many cool ways to play a warlock, and I feel like too often they are just wizards. Like there's nothing
Yeah.
special about them, they're just there. So okay, what's your final verdict on this one?
So the GM's innocent on this one.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be sentencing the player to having an awkward,
One
drawn
long
out
scolding from their
conversation.
patron.
Yeah. Like the patron's gonna like take a chair, flip it backwards, and like Riker sit on it. Like, okay.
Like a school counselor.
Yeah. Because it's like they get like the full soul. At least this way I would interpret it. They get their full soul when like you're done. So
Mhm.
if you're like perma trapped in a gem, I don't get this. Just sits on my shelf then.
Right.
So you're wasting my time.
Right.
I'm pumping out power to a husk.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, they could be mad, but it's more of like disappointed. So like
Mhm.
simulating like a disappointed dad
Mhm.
at the day. It's like, hey, look, all right, I know you didn't intentionally do this,
Right.
but you're wasting my time.
Right. Well,
And
also
just having that conversation.
it's like it's an echo of your soul, so it's a portion of your soul. So you have essentially, like, if you've promised your soul to this entity, and part of it is no longer available to them, like, you have taken away part of what you owe them. So yeah, I think that is very fair, Junie. We'll give you a point for that one as well. Well done.
I don't know if that sound effect came through. I've been working on this sound. Cool. Yes.
It's very quiet. It sounds more like just a tap than like a hard hammer. But it's
all right. I was turning it down just to make sure I didn't like. I don't know. Anyway, it is just a hammer. So I was like, I didn't have a gavel sound. But anyway,
but
yeah.
One more point for you. That brings
What
your
are these
grand
points
total
good for?
to 4 points.
Uh-huh.
Which means you have received the title of very good judge. Well done.
Oh.
You did a good job. There was a maximum total of 6 points that you could have achieved in this, if you had uncovered the some of the more secretive information. But you did a very good
I didn't
job.
realize that until like the last one where I could keep asking for whatever. Oh, so we're just not telling me the rules. Okay.
Hey,
Right.
It's not my fault you didn't read your contract.
There's a contract? Okay.
But
Okay.
I think you did an excellent job. You arrived at good conclusions. You raised good points. I'm sure we will return to the.
This is less
the
like just
People's
me being a
Court.
judge. It's more me being like a sleuth that has
It's
to like Sherlock.
simultaneously judge and
Okay.
detective. Yeah, you're trying to solve the case and then pass judgment on it.
Okay.
But you did a good job. You reached the title of very good judge. And I'm sure we'll return to the People's Court and Judge Juni in the future.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have a cinematic, like a thing that comes up next time. Yeah, and then have that. Yeah.
Give you the opportunity to try and reach that ultimate title. But yeah, thank you for playing, Judy.
Do I start at 0
appreciate it.
every time
You start
and
at
just
0
see?
every time.
And I got to see how high of a judge I can be. Okay.
Because sometimes you might not be as good. You might go down.
I might be a bad judge that
you might
day.
go down in your rankings.
Oh man.
So we'll see. But right now,
interesting.
Very good judge. Well done.
Okay. Interesting.
We will pick this up some other time though. I have many more cases to bring before the People's Court. Juni, do you have anything fun happening this weekend?
I think I do actually. What is going on in my life? I'm like I have a calendar and then I haven't needed to use it and now I do and I'm like so many things. Hunter, what about you? What do you have going on? Do you have anything cool going on right now?
I don't think so. It's pretty chill here. We have this weekend we don't have like anything big on the agenda. I plan on like doing some stuff around the house and getting some stuff straightened up and things like that.
Some adulting.
But yeah, but other than that, I don't have anything like crazy happening this weekend. I was supposed to have a game last night and it had to cancel, unfortunately, which is a shame because I was very excited about it. But we'll play next week instead. But yeah, I don't think I have anything crazy.
I think
this
I
weekend.
keep telling myself I'm gonna like put games up and like actually like get back into the swing of putting more public games out there.
Mhm.
And then it just keeps getting away from me.
Yeah.
But I've been you know what it is? I think I have these random ideas that I wanna drag you into, and it never come like, Hunter's gonna hate that, he's not gonna be into that. Where, somebody said something about, we were in one of our Discords, somebody said something, they're playing, like, Hell Riders, I think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
And I saw some people play that, and I was like, "Oh, that'd be so funny." Uh, to like, I'm gonna get I don't know if Hunter plays shooters at all, and there was, like,
I
another
don't. I'm willing to give it a
yeah.
try, but I absolutely don't.
And there was, like, some other card game. It was something dumb, and I was like, "Hunter would not play this, but it'd be so funny." And it's just me dragging you into, other dumb, uh,
Video games.
micro obsessions,
Yeah,
where it's just like, "Hey, look,
I'm down, man.
the algorithm has made me temporarily obsessed with blank. Check it out,
I
with my hamster brain."
I love that. There's absolutely 1,000 different things out there that would be fun to dive into. I very nearly lost my I am on I'm desperately trying to beat honor mode in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm like if I'm just trying to do too many things, and so then I'm like, uh, it's resulting in me just like encountering too many like deadly fights and like putting myself in unnecessary danger, or if I like I feel like I need to do as many different fights as possible to like make sure that I get the experience to be able to level up so that I am a higher level by the time I hit like the more dangerous fights. But there has been an exploit in Baldur's Gate for a while, where Raphael, the
Mhm.
devil,
I think I remember you telling me, yeah.
had there was an exploit where you can get his armor, which is like a thing you get from defeating him in Act 3, and it's like a big deal. It's like really good armor. You could get his armor in Act 1 if you did like a few different things. You just had to make sure that you did them very like a very specific order. So I've done it in a couple of different runs and like gotten his armor, and I'm like, it's so good for like early game. It gets less good by the time you have like gotten it. It's still good, but like it's less good because there's so many good items at that point. But in early game,
Mhm.
it's insane. And so I had gotten I had gotten this armor in previous runs. Last night I got to the point in the game where like he shows up in my camp, and I can like go through the
And you had
process
to
of
have
like
it. He
taking him
needed
out.
it.
And I'm like, awesome, let's do it. And I like started the process, and the moment I started it, every single NPC in my camp, other than like the party members that were actively
Mhm.
traveling with me, every single one of them turned hostile on me, and
Oh.
immediately started attacking. And I was like, "What is happening?" And
What?
I started like trying to open up my like abilities and stuff because I wasn't expecting to be in combat
Yeah.
with like everybody, because it was like all of my companions, the Oathbreaker paladin that's in the part like in the camp if you're
What
an
did you
Oathbreaker,
do? I guess
like
I don't know the
all of this
process,
stuff.
so I'm just like, I
So
don't know how this like, what did you
the way
do?
it did work was that um you have when Raphael shows up that first time, where like wherever
Mhm.
that is, when he shows up the first time, if you have like detached from your party so that it's just you,
Yeah.
and then you have that like walk forward, it starts that cutscene, and then you switch to a different character. You go to
Yeah.
one of your other party members who isn't in the cutscene, and you just shoot Raphael. As soon as he takes damage, he like vanishes. He's gone. He's no longer there.
Yeah.
At that point, he won't show
Mhm.
up back to your camp until you get to the point where you're like moving on. You're going into
Mhm.
like act 2 or whatever. And so, but then he'll show up in your camp. If when he shows up in your camp, if you cast silence on him, and then
Mhm.
just start attacking him, he doesn't fight back, and you can just keep attacking him.
You cheese it.
Um,
Okay. Alright.
and like he has a ton of hit points, but you can like take him out.
Mhm.
When I tried to do it last night, as soon as I cast silence, every single person in the entire camp turned hostile.
So specific, like I'm assuming that a party member got caught in silence and they took it as a hostile thing,
I double checked.
but
Nobody got caught in it. Nobody other than Raphael was in it. Like it's super
well,
wild. So
yeah,
there
because
is
even if they were, like, it'd be like, "Hey, you made me silent, jerk." Like, I
right.
don't see how that would be.
There is a line on the silent spell that says like can turn enemies hostile. But like
Huh?
I think that's been there previously and it's never like caused this to happen.
Yeah,
So
interesting.
I don't know
Yeah, why that would work.
what
The other
caused
thing I
it.
was gonna say is, like, did he charm your entire party? Did he, like,
That'd be wild.
brainwash? That's the only other thing I can think of.
The only thing I can think of is uh like I've never gotten there with like an Oathbreaker, so like the Oathbreaker Knight stands kind of close to where Raphael is. Like maybe if like the Oathbreaker is there, it like triggers that. Um but like that seems wild that would be the only situation in which it happens. Yeah, I don't know. So it's crazy. Um
Yeah, that's confusing and aggravating, I know.
Yeah, but it is what it is. Luckily I started like pulling out all of my stuff to try and like just take care of it. So I was like pulling out all of the I have a whole bag of like exploding barrels and stuff like that. And I just started like putting them everywhere to just try and like, okay, I guess I'm gonna lose my companions because they've all gone hostile against me in the honor mode. And when I detonated it, it crashed my game. And I have never been so thankful for a game crash.
Yeah,
I was like,
I was about to say, it's like, I would
I
have
was like,
immediately just, like,
oh,
unplugged my computer.
it
I would have
like put
immediately
me
been like,
back a
"Ah!"
ways, but I was like, it's fine, it's fine. It's better to have to cover like that ground than it is
Oh, yeah.
to have
Then, like,
lost it.
the nightmare scenario, it's like your character wakes up like, "Huh, I had the craziest
Yeah,
dream."
yeah. Juni, do you have any calls to action for this weekend?
Yeah, play, just listen to people's problems and then tell them how to solve it. Just like ask people what's wrong all the time, and they'll just tell you what's wrong, and then you can give them a course of action. But like invite it, because if you just go up and go like, "Hey, you see what your problem is?" That's a different situation. You don't want
You
that.
got problems, my friend, right here in River
Yeah.
City.
So see if you could help some people. Like
See if you can
help
help
X
people who
amount of
want
people
help.
who want help
Yeah.
correctly. Yes. Plan accordingly to the weather. Just I never check the weather unless
It's a good
like
one.
I notice like, hey, it's whatever. So look like check and then go, definitely need a sweater or definitely need an umbrella. In case
Yeah.
you're the type of person that's like surprised like me whenever they open the door, like, huh, that's snow. And then just put it. So just like be aware of the world outside your immediate door.
Yeah.
And oh man, I want to involve a dunk tank in some sort, but I
Mm.
can't. Just
Just get yourself a little
dunk
treat.
dunk some things. Get
Yeah,
something
get yourself
dunkable,
a
a
little treat. Get
donut,
some cookies
an
and some
Oreo.
milk,
Yeah,
or
dunk some
donut and
stuff.
coffee. Like do some
Yeah,
dunking. Go play
do some
basketball.
Dunkins. Yeah, dunk on them.
Yeah, dunk on 'em. The
Dunk
third
on them
call to action:
hard.
dunk on
Yeah.
them hard.
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We will be back on Monday with more nonsense. Have a great weekend, and until then, remember to embrace the nonsense. We'll see you Monday. Bye, y'all.